Welcome back to the Downcourt Podcast. I'm your host, Drew. Today we are talking WNBA scheduling. We are talking WNBA potentially blocking players from playing overseas or an unrivaled. The league attempting to seize control of the Connecticut Sun. And a quick look at the tight playoff race as we get near the end of the season. Let's start with Satu Sabali complaining about having back-to-backs in the schedule this last week, playing Thursday and Friday games. Now, Sabali has been one of the more vocal members of the league complaining about the offers that the WNBA as a league have made to the players in regards to negotiating in the new CBA, saying that one offer was a slap in the face to the players. And when asked on Friday about having a back-to-back, Sabali said that it was terrible. It's like they don't care about player safety. It's like they don't care about scheduling. And I mean, I only mentioned that one time, and I know people love to comment and say, oh, you guys want to get paid more. You guys need to play all these games. But at some point, there's a sports side to it. We'll play tomorrow and we're professional. We'll do it. And to that, I say, you want to get paid more. You need to play all these games. I feel for you that the back-to-backs are not great. The NBA players are constantly complaining about these. This is what I think is a problem with the WNBA players. They pick battles that they shouldn't be picking. And that's what makes people who are against the league, it kind of fuels them in that sense. And she even says it here where she's saying like, oh, you guys are going to comment and complain either way. And it's like, well, yeah, you played. I looked through the schedule, 2 back-to-backs this season. In a season where they increased the amount of games, yes, they are playing up to 3 or 4 times a week, but if we are going to be fighting for more money for this league, there's going to be expansion. There's going to be even a bigger schedule. I'm thinking they're going to go up to hopefully 60 games at some point. And you have to be prepared to play back-to-backs in order to get that done. It's just like, it feels like the players sometimes pick the wrong battles and they lack some awareness of how what they're doing is going to get perceived by everyone else. I understand, as someone who supports the league, that doing a back-to-back is going to be rough on these players. And when you're playing so many more games within a condensed time frame, it's tough. But when you say that within a negotiation with the league, you just added fodder to the fire of the people against you to say like, oh, look, they're complaining about playing games, yet they want more money from us. And so I don't have a problem with the argument. I just have a problem like with the time and place of it all. Because let's face it, the league is winning the PR battle. The league is winning the PR battle because they are just going to push the narrative that the players do not drive revenue. The players do not make, the league doesn't make money, blah, 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 blah. The same excuse that they've used for the NBA time and time again, the same excuse that the MLB has used from time and time again. When it comes to negotiating, the league is going to constantly say that the league is not generating money. I think the Players Association has not done a good enough job media-wise to control that narrative and push the argument in different directions. And then when you do things like this, you just add to the negativity that is coming onto the players. So time and place is all I'm going to say. And I'll just leave it with that. The other things, Sabali again was asked what she thought about the WNBA potentially blocking players from playing overseas or playing an unrivaled. I couldn't find anywhere online. Maybe someone can send me the link that has confirmed that the WNBA came out publicly and said they do not want players playing outside of the WNBA. So this can be just something that slipped from behind closed doors or something they just haven't made a sticking point in their argument in the CBA. If the WNBA truly does not want the players playing overseas or playing unrivaled, they need to significantly increase the pay they are giving the players during the WNBA season. It's as simple as that. Some of these players are making 60K, 70K to be a professional athlete. And I see the arguments online where like, oh, that's a solid salary to play 3 months a year. That's a 70K is amazing to play for 3 months in a year. But you got to factor in like they are professional athletes. They have to pay trainers. They have to have a certain diet. They have to take care of their body. They have to pay to a certain living standard to take care of their body well enough to be professional athletes year round. And then I think if you want the league to grow and you want the level of play to keep on continuing to get better, wouldn't you want the players to be able to make enough money to train all off season and improve their game so that the product on the court continues to get better, right? Because when you look at the unrivaled roster playing now in the WNBA, I think it's something like 91% of the players from unrivaled are having a career high in at least one stat this season. And so there's your small look at what it could be like if players were paid a high enough wage to focus on training and getting better instead of going from league to league in Europe or whatever country they're getting paid in and then coming directly back to the WNBA with higher pay. Some of these players might not want to go to Europe, might not need to go unrivaled. They can take some time off, work on their craft and get better in the off season. How many training videos do we see drop of NBA players every season? How many times do we see them getting in the gym, working, running full scrimmages against each other? You never get that with WNBA players because they are literally playing in other leagues the second this season ends, and they don't come back until the second this season starts. So, bottom line, if the WNBA does not want them playing outside of the WNBA, they need to start paying them way more than they're getting now. The other controversial situation going on with the league and the teams is the sale of the Connecticut Sun. This was basically a done deal that a group in Boston was buying the Connecticut Sun. They were going to move them over, and the league came in and said, wait, the buy-in for our league is $250 million. You were going to give them $325 million to move to Boston to essentially cut the line in expansion because they do have a sort of wait list on expansion cities. So Boston was like, well, let's just buy a team and move them to Boston. It will pay extra. And so there's that. The league actually said, no, you can't do that because we'll buy the team for cheaper and then we'll go and flip it and we'll make a profit off of this. And what we're going to do, we'll make a profit and we're going to sell it to Houston because we want a team in Houston. So the greed of the league is saying basically Connecticut Sun do not have a say in who they get to sell the team to because the league wants to pocket the change. They want to take that extra little bit that is getting offered to cut the line of expansion cities. The other alternative to Boston was keeping the Sun in Connecticut and moving them down the street to Hartford, where they think they would get a bigger crowd. They think it would be easier for people to get to, and they want to stay loyal to the fan base in Connecticut that has been there for the Sun through good years and bad. So, not a bad idea, but the league is also blocking that. They don't want them to move because they are just trying to push this Houston thing. And you even have a video of Connecticut's state comptroller coming out and saying, like, the WNBA is trying to basically steal the Sun from this whole situation to make profit and to put a team exactly where they want a team rather than let the owners of the Sun decide who they can sell to and where the team can move to. And you even had the Hartford, Connecticut mayor come out and say that this is ridiculous, that the WNBA is blocking any sale to any groups in Connecticut, and they were going to block the Sun from staying in Connecticut. Oh, and they are going to do it at a $250 million price tag when the Sun have offers for $325 million already. It's turning now politicians against the league. It's turning fan base against the league. It's a wild situation that if the WNBA is expanding already, why don't they just make a new team in Houston? I mean, we've seen that there is a loyal fan base in Connecticut. There is a lot of basketball fans in Connecticut. There's a lot of women's basketball fans. The Yukon is there. It'd be a perfect area for a city in Hartford that goes out and supports basketball, I think it's reasonable that they would go out and support the Connecticut Sun there. Or in Boston, where the WNBA is trying to label Boston as like a smaller market. I'm pretty sure they have the Boston Celtics there. Like, it's ridiculous what they're trying to make us perceive that Boston's small. And I get it. Houston is it's a big place. There's potential there for a team, but they had a team and they couldn't keep a team there already. We saw that it failed in Houston. So why not go somewhere in Boston where the players have also came out and said that's somewhere they would like to play. They could get stars potentially wanting to sign there because it's a nice city. And so I don't know why the league is taking it so far. If you want a team in Houston so bad, just make a team in Houston. Why do you need to take this away from Connecticut and completely move them out? Why do you want to get out of the Connecticut or Boston area so bad when you've seen that literally local politicians and fans and cities are willing to invest in this team in Connecticut? I don't know. I don't understand why the WNBA is blocking the move so much, but I let me know in the comments how you feel about it. Just want to talk really quickly on this playoff race going into the last stretch here of the season. The Lynx will most likely have the first seed. Aces are in a strong position to hold on to that number 2 seed. Down at the bottom here, from 6 through 10, these teams are still in the hunt. Fever, Storm, Valkyries, Sparks, and Mystics. The Fever have surprisingly won a couple games to keep them afloat at the 6th seed. The Storm are now at 21 wins in the 7th seed, while the Valkyries sit currently a game and a half ahead of the Sparks and a commanding 3 games ahead of the Mystics. We can basically scratch off the Mystics here. I don't think they're going to be able to make up enough ground. The Sparks are the only team who could potentially take this spot from the Valkyries, and it'll come down to the final game for that 8 seed to be decided. Personally, I would love to see the Valkyries, or the Sparks get into this playoff. It hurts to see that it could possibly be one or the other. Valkyries are playing with house money. They had zero expectations. They've already won more games than any expansion team in the WNBA history. For them to get into the playoffs would just be another, pelt on the wall. It'd be amazing for them. The Storm and the Sparks, if either of those teams miss the playoffs, it'd be really a tough sell for these coaching staffs and these rosters to look at each other and say, well, let's run it back next season. I think it's easier for the Sparks, where you can tell yourself, well, Kelsey Plum, her first year here being our star, I think she'll build more chemistry. We've seen in the second half of the season, the team was a lot better. Cameron Brink will have a full offseason now to be completely healthy, come back, and be a bigger part of our rotation next season. Rikia Jackson, who started slow in this season, has really come on strong. I think she'll be one of the main pieces going to this next season. I think the Sparks have a lot of upside, but then when you look at the Storm, most of their players have played at least 6 or 7 seasons. This is a really veteran roster. Only one or maybe 2 of their players are a rookie or second year player. This is a team that should be competing for a title, but yet they are struggling to find wins, and they're struggling to find ways to play well together. If they do not make the playoffs, even if they make the playoffs, I think you have to look at getting younger. You have to look at making some moves off this roster, because clearly it didn't work this year. I just don't see why. You have Ogumake, who is a great scorer. Skylar Diggins played at a high level, I think, this year. I think Gabby Williams was really amazing in the first half of the season. I think she slowed down a little bit, but she's been great. You add Brittany Sykes to be that final piece, and it just hasn't come together. And I don't know whether that's coaching or whether that's, look, this group just didn't have it in them, and let's try to get younger and really hit not so much a reset button, but let's reload. So they're gonna have a lot of questions this offseason, whether they get in or not. We are audio version podcast on Spotify and Apple Pods, video version on YouTube. We're on TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff can be found in the bio. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.